This video is the posthumous induction of Lion Harleigh Baxter into the Mid-South Lions Club Wall of Fame. Master of Ceremonies was Brad Baker, Executive Director of Mid-South Lions.
Nervous when I do a Hall of Honor induction because number one, it's very personal to me. My dad was, I miss him every day still. And the other thing is that it kind of takes me out of my comfort zone just a little bit. Another reason I get nervous for these things is I get very emotional. I knew Harleigh well, and all those pictures brought back lots of good memories. Harleigh Baxter was born 1925, passed away in 2014. He was 88 years old. He was in the Navy during World War II from 1944 to 1946. He was an Air Force and Naval Reserve member from 1952 to 1985 as a flight engineer. He worked with the Illinois Central Railroad from 1946 to 1985. He was a Cub Master for the Scouts for 3 years. He was a Mason, a Shriner, a Shrine and Lion Clown. He joined the Lions in 1959 and served as president in the 70s and again in the 90s. He served in all other offices except treasurer. He said they didn't trust him with money. He served multiple offices in the district, the state, and at Mid-South, and was a 100% district governor in 1986-87. He served on the Mississippi Lions Site Foundation and Activities Corporation multiple years and served as treasurer of that organization from 1990-91 and with 1993-94 being his last year. He was LCIF District Chair. He received Don Banker's International President's Award. He received 3 Lions Club's International Certificates of Appreciation. His district made him a Melvin Jones Fellow in 1991, and he passed away on August 16, 2014. His daughter Donna, who is a minister in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, wrote the following. Hi Brad, I don't know if I can imagine the overwhelming sense of gratitude I have about this honor being bestowed on my dad. I've spent the rest of the day since finding out remembering him and his devotion to his family, his country, and to his community. He set the bar very high for servant leadership. Daddy served in the military for over 30 years. He was a Lion for over 50 years and also a Mason and a Shriner. I have some good memories of his time with the Lions. Daddy went to his first Lions International Convention in 1975 in Dallas, and I was there with him. After that, he was hooked. He traveled the world going to international conventions and joined the Pen Traders Club. When he passed away, he had something like 10,000 Lions pens. I think he had a full set of Mississippi Southern Bells, state pens, and a complete set of Elvis pens. Many people have seen Colonel Ippy from Mississippi in their hometown Christmas parades, or if you were in the Mississippi Lions All-State Band anywhere in the world, that was my daddy. He said making people smile was his goal in life, and he did that. As a clown in Lions Club and as a Shrine Clown. One of my best memories of his time as a Lion was when he showed up at my apartment in Oxford wearing a smile from ear to ear and beaming because he had just delivered a donor eye to the hospital in Oxford from Jackson. He was at a state meeting in Jackson and they got a call that an eye was available and it was needed to be transported to Oxford. Daddy volunteered to take it and was escorted to the Jackson city limits by the Mississippi Highway Patrol. The eye was on ice in a cooler and rode comfortably to Oxford in his back seat. I believe one of his most meaningful adventures with the Lions Club was going to Leader Dog for the Blind for training. He came back truly moved by that experience. And you know about his belief and commitment to Mid-South. Again, it's touching that he's being honored in this way for his service. Our family is thankful. God bless you all. Reverend Donna Hendricks, Harleigh's oldest daughter. Yeah. One of Harleigh's granddaughters wrote this, and I got this about 11 o'clock last night, and it's very moving. I really don't know where to start. Harleigh Baxter was one of the greatest men in my life, and my mother, Nina. Pages beyond pages cannot sum up the things he did in his life and the sacrifices he made for his family. Growing up, I remember him being a firm man with a heart of gold. We never did without because of him. Born in 1925, I'm sure he saw things and went through some of the hardest times in life. I often think that is why he was so involved in helping others. Lions Club was one of his greatest passions. He had an office with shelves upon shelves of Lions Club pens. He would sit for hours and hours going through them, organizing and reorganizing, and he could count for every one of them. At dinner time, it was always clean up the table and hope we didn't disrupt or misplace any of the pens he was going through. The thing we all will always remember are his great stories. He had just the best stories. Just the other day, I tried to put into words to explain the true nature of my grandfather. Granddad was a jolly man. He never took life for granted. He helped me through some of the hardest times in my life. Some of you may know and some of you may not. His great-grandson was killed tragically in a car accident, which will soon be 18 years ago. And when I asked if I wanted to donate what I could, I of course said yes. My granddad made sure that his eyes went to the Mississippi Lions Eye Bank. For that I am grateful. The Lions Club as a whole is an amazing organization that does amazing work in little communities and big ones all across the world. I am a better person knowing that a group of people are so selfless in their work. I now have an eye disease that there's no cure for. I know that if my granddad was still alive, he would have exhausted every avenue to try and save my eyes. Although now we know there's nothing anyone can do to save them. It's symptomatically treatable, and with one of the top doctors at Charles Retina Institute in Memphis, we've got a handle on it. For almost a year now, I've had no flare-ups. The one thing I do know is Harleigh, my granddad, my mom's dad, was an amazing man. To know him was more than a pleasure. We miss him dearly. Thank you for inducting him into the Mid-South Lions Hall of Honor. He would most greatly appreciate it. The Lions Club was family to him. On a personal note, Harleigh was working at Mid-South when I started there in September of 1990. His title was Communications Coordinator. He was a full-time volunteer. His main function was to keep in contact with area directors, basically ambassadors for Mid-South throughout the four-state area. There were about 150 of them at the time. Harleigh commuted from Senatobia, about 45 miles one way, and came to the Mid-South office 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, until 1994. The number of volunteer hours he accumulated were second only to past District Governor Chris Holbrook, who coordinated the volunteer program. At that time, these hours translated into credit that we used to pay for patient care. Even after he left the volunteer program, I could always count on Harleigh to help us in many ways, including being sight and hearing coordinator for Senatobia Lions Club and District 30. Locally, Harleigh spearheaded his club's efforts to raise money. They ran a concession stand at Northwest Mississippi Community College's athletic events. And the reason his club members are not here today is they have a playoff game and the concession stand's got to be open. This project raised thousands of dollars for the club, and Harleigh made sure that a great portion of that money came to Mid-South. Harleigh made multiple phone calls practically every day checking on these area directors. He tasked them to visit clubs and checked on their progress regularly. His efforts kept Mid-South's activities and needs in front of clubs throughout the entire Mid-South. Harleigh also did a lot of club and district visits representing Mid-South. Then Executive Director Jerry Brown didn't even complain much about Harleigh's extensive phone bill. If you recall, back then we had phone bills that we had to pay for long distance because his work was so vital to the cause. As Mid-South's Development Director, he helped me with mailings, printings, club and district state visits, as well as calls on local businesses. He was a tireless promoter of Mid-South in Mississippi and was a main cog in our communications in all 4 states. While he was never part of the governance of Mid-South as an officer, his work was extremely important to our mission. First day I was at work, I remember it well. I was at my desk in the back of our 188 South Bellevue office in the Methodist Hospital, which the part that we were in doesn't exist anymore. I kept hearing Joanne talking, and I walked to her desk a couple of times and said, "Do you need me?" Harleigh pulled me aside and he said, "Joanne doesn't say your name in front of what she's saying. She's not talking to you, she's talking to herself." Another time we were going out to eat with Jerry Brown, the executive director at the time. Harleigh was driving and asked Jerry to step out and see if there was something wrong with the grill of his car. Jerry did, and when he bent over, Harleigh honked the horn. And yes, Jerry did jump about 10 feet high. Harleigh was a great guy and a wonderful prankster. There are very few people since I've been at Mid-South that were more dedicated to what we do at Mid-South, and he was worse than me about crying at every opportunity. Anytime he saw a miracle, which we saw many, many of, and he tried to talk about it, a lot of times he just couldn't get through it all without breaking down. He was a very humble man. His work was extremely important to him. Mid-South was extremely important to him and to his family. I can tell you personally, Harleigh was and is still a hero to me due to his unfailing support of Mid-South and his tireless efforts on our patients' behalf. I am honored today to be able to present past District Governor Harleigh Baxter for induction into the L.B. Baker Hall of Honor. Past presidents have voted to distribute this plaque and to create another one just like it to send to both of Harleigh's daughters. So we'll be doing that next week. Thank you so much. That ends our induction ceremony for today.
Mid-South Lions provides comprehensive care to the sight and hearing impaired at no cost to patients. Lions clubs from Arkansas, Mississippi, Missouri and Tennessee provide referrals, funding and leadership. For more information, call 901-543-4368.